Right. Hi everybody. Oh shit, that's hot. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would sit down and go through 2018, kind of review the year, get it all off my chest, and then kind of go through what I see and what I want and what I expect from 2019. I did actually film this yesterday, but even I didn't understand myself, so I was like, no, let's refilm, let's start. So, 2018. Woo, what a year. I went through quite a lot in 2018, which is why I mostly want to do this video. I started my year abroad. I was in Dubai for New Year's. I had gone there to get away. I always like to get a bit of winter sun as well, but if I'm 100% honest, mostly I was running away from my problems here. I'd had a crappy end to 2017 and I thought going somewhere else and starting my year somewhere else would be great, but it was great. I had a great time, but I remember one moment just being in the bedroom and thinking, I still feel sad and lonely and as crappy as I would if I was sitting in my house in Norwich. So I learned from that trip that you can't run away from how you feel inside. Yes, it helps. Yes, it's a bit of a break, and it probably does you some good to get away and escape your reality, but the reality and your problems are still going to be there when you come back. You can't just come back and not deal with them. So that's how my 2018 started. I got back and I started my career as a PT. I had got a job in a gym in the city centre where I live, and yeah, that was a bit of a shock to the system. Let me tell you now, for anyone thinking of completing their personal training course or becoming a PT or starting a PT career, it is not easy. Oh my goodness, people, I swear, think that you just qualify as a PT and you go and you teach people to do exercise and it's as simple as that. They pay you money and you're going to be rich. Nuh-uh. So, I started working at the gym. I learned very quickly that it's a tough industry. I wasn't treated very nicely by some of the people that worked in my gym, so I had that to deal with. You would then have to build a client base, and quite often a lot of people who do want a PT and who can afford a PT in a budget gym will probably already have one of the many other PTs that work in your gym. So you want to compete with other people, but you also don't want to be stealing other people's clients because that's not cool. Also, teaching somebody exercise is harder than you think. Exercise should not be taken for granted. The way that people understand movement and their body's ability to hinge and bend and engage certain muscle groups, it's not easy, and it can be quite a challenge to teach somebody that, especially when you're first starting out, because let me tell you, they don't teach you that in your PT course. I was still doing sports massage as well, so I was doing the two combined, and that actually worked quite nicely because some of my PT clients ended up seeing me for massage and massage clients ended up seeing me for PT. So after about 4 or 5 months, I was doing okay. I was really happy with my progress, and it was fun. It was tiring, very long days, but yeah, I enjoyed it. At the same time, I was also building Girl Gains, so for anyone who, I don't really talk about Girl Gains that much on here. So Girl Gains was an online community set up by some fitness influencers in London. They had ambassadors around the world. I was the ambassador for Norfolk. I grew Girl Gains and we had some really great meetups, met a lot of awesome girls, and was in the paper, and it was going really, really, really well. And at the end of last year, Girl Gains kind of dissolved, so there are no longer ambassadors for Girl Gains, and I had a decision to make as to what to do with Girl Gains Norfolk. So I took some time out and I really wanted to think about it, and I've now relaunched Girl Gains Norfolk as Strength and Support. So that is now an online community. At the minute it's mostly Instagram based. I am working on doing some first meetups for Norfolk, but it isn't just for Norfolk people. And it's not just for girls. I want everybody to be involved with strength and support. I really, really want to focus on the mental health aspect, the way that fitness and eating well supports mental health. It really does make a difference to your life. So that's something that I really want to push for 2019. So we're about a third of the way into the year and I met a boy and that was fun for a while and I was really happy and things were great, and then they weren't. And that took a nosedive quite quickly for reasons that I still don't 100% understand, but that's life. However, I was crushed. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. I was heartbroken. Like, this guy, we'd spent a lot of time together in a very short space of time. You know, I'd met his family, things were moving forward really well, and then boom, it just disappeared. He disappeared. Although he didn't disappear, because I then spent the next 6 months kind of going back there. So at first he would contact me. I don't think he was 100% sure he'd made the right decision. I'm not really sure, I can't really speak for him. But that's kind of what I got from it. I was completely hoping that it would be great again, and yeah, so I kept going back and I found it very, very hard to let go. And I think back now and I'm like, oh my God, you're such a moron. I think back to that relationship now, and I think back to how I viewed the relationship when I wanted it to go back to how it was. And I was literally, oh, I feel like my eyelashes have just stuck together. I think I was literally focusing on all the good stuff when actually, when I think about that relationship, there wasn't really much in it for me. Like, I wasn't really supported. There was no support for anything I did. Anything I wanted to do was just sort of brushed aside. It was, you know, I was ignored quite a lot at the end, and to be honest, I really don't know what all the fuss was about. That might be a bit savage, but yeah. I'm really annoyed that it took me so long to realise that I deserve so much better. So, oh yeah, that's probably my biggest regret for 2019, wasting so much of my energy and feeling so negative and awful about myself when actually there's nothing wrong with me. It's just, you know, people don't always want to be with people, and that's okay. And I wish I should have just accepted that at the beginning. But I tell you what, if I ever get into a relationship, of course I'm going to get into a relationship again at some point, but when I do, if it does fall apart, I'm not gonna just go back to that person if they want to, and I'm not going to chase somebody that doesn't want to be with me. So yeah, that's something that I learned last year. Moving very swiftly on. Around the summertime, I stopped working as a massage therapist. I worked doing that at my then CrossFit box. If you watch my old vlogs, then you will have seen that I used to train somewhere else that I do now. And I used to work there as well. So I stopped working there for personal reasons. The room management was changed and I wasn't completely comfortable with it. So I decided to stop doing it. I'd also reached a point as well where I was so exhausted, and massaging is hard work. I was so tired, and when I worked out sort of the financial benefit compared to my exhaustion, I decided that it probably wasn't worth it. By the time I'd paid rent on the room and my expenses, I wasn't coming out with as much as I thought. So I decided to stop that and then just use the time that I had for more personal training. After I stopped doing that though, I felt a bit awkward still training in the same place. So I decided to take a little bit of a break and just have a change of scene, because a change of scene and sometimes just change in general is good for you, and it can help you grow and realise what's important, and that's what I decided to do. So I left where I used to train, I left all my friends, and I went to a new CrossFit box. And I wasn't 100% sure if it was going to be forever. It was just something I had to do at that point in time. But once I'd done it, it was very clear that I could not go back. So that was really hard for me actually, and I didn't really talk to anyone. I mean, I spoke to friends about it, a couple of friends, but I didn't really talk about it publicly. But that shit hurt. Like, even now I miss my like old friends at my old CrossFit box so much. I barely see them anymore, and although a few of them have also moved over, which is great because I feel like I've sort of got some allies at the new box, I'm still finding my feet at my new place, and I am making some new friends, and everyone there is lovely. My training is coming on so much more, which is at the minute the most important thing for me. But yeah, that was something that was really hard, and it was almost like grieving something. So I'm someone that believes that you don't have to just have somebody pass away for you to grieve. Like, you can grieve relationships, you can grieve friendships that you don't have anymore. That's something else that happened this year. And you can grieve places that you can no longer visit, and you can grieve memories. And that's basically what I think I did a lot of last year. I grieved everything that I moved on from. Although it was good for me, it wasn't always easy. Friendship wise, I did lose some friends this year. Some I chose to walk away from, others I think chose to walk away from me. That's something that personally I just think happens, and as a grown-up and as an adult, I don't think there's any need for bitching or, you know, anger or bitterness about it. It's just something that happens. We grow up. Some people get married, and some people have babies, and other people go on personal discovery, and they go traveling, and there's so many different areas in your life that you can go down. There's different roads, there's different paths, and I think if you're on two completely separate paths, at some point you might choking. Yeah, if you're on two separate paths, you might not necessarily have anything in common anymore, and it's okay to move on from that friendship. That friendship will have served you in... God, literally, I can't talk. That friendship will have served you in some way. It will have had an impact and a purpose in your life. Even if you don't know what it is, you will at some point. So yeah, that happened. So that was sad. Well, some of them were sad, and then it was also good because it opened up my life for new people to come in. And at the minute, I have a very small but a very chosen few people that are close to me in my life, and personally I'm very happy with that right now. Also did some counselling this year. So for the first time in my life, I actually spoke to a complete stranger about all the problems and all the trauma and all the crap that's ever happened to me in my life. So I did counselling for 6 or 7 months, and again, that was something that was difficult, but so worthwhile. I highly, highly, highly recommend having counselling if you can. It doesn't always have to be expensive. I know charities offer reduced price sessions. I was incredibly lucky because I was used as a study model? Is it a study model? Like a study topic. Anyway, my sessions were filmed and recorded, and they will be used to teach other people that are learning to be counsellors. So because I was filmed and recorded, I did not have to pay for my sessions. If I had, there's no way I could ever have afforded it. So I'm incredibly lucky, and I realise I'm incredibly privileged to have had that. I was diagnosed with long-term PTSD, which makes a lot of sense. And I got real uncomfortable talking about some real personal shit. But then when it was... I got to a point in the summer where he was like, I just don't think you need to come anymore. Like, I think you're past this. You don't enjoy the sessions. You don't really have anything left to say. In a positive way, not in a bad way. And honestly, that feeling... Oh, I still remember sitting on a bench writing out an Instagram post, and I was crying as I was writing this post, just in the middle of the day, like in the middle of the day. It was incredible. I literally felt so amazing, and I was so proud of myself because for once in my life I stuck to it and I finished it and I saw it through. So yeah, that was awesome, and I was really, really proud of that. Okay, so then I started struggling a little bit with money. That's an understatement. I massively got into debt. because basically when I was a personal trainer, I lived on a credit card because I had no disposable income. All my money went on bills. I live alone. I own this house. I have outgoings that are almost, I'm not going to tell you how much my outgoings are, but I have a lot of outgoings every month. And I don't have like a fancy car or anything like that. It's just being single and independent costs a lot of money. So I started to struggle and I basically started living off a credit card, and that was not the best thing that I could have done because I ran up a lot of debt. And I then needed to take on a second job, so that's how I started working in Erpingham House. I used to work at the vegan restaurant in Norwich. Never worked in hospitality before, but really enjoyed it. Ended up being manager of a cafe after 3 months and deciding to go back to employment and not personal train anymore. I was shattered. I was so exhausted. I was up super early to train clients. I'd then go work at the cafe. I'd then go train clients in the evening. And I mean, weeks and weeks and weeks passed. I didn't have days off and I was so burnt out. And for my own personal mental health, for my own personal physical health, something had to change. And my stress was so high, my anxiety was through the roof. I mean, every aspect of my life was falling apart and I had to make a choice. So I liked personal training and I liked helping people and I think I was quite good at it, but I needed a regular income. I needed security. I needed job security. So yeah, I made that decision for myself to go back to employment, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't feel like I failed. I don't feel like it's the end of my maybe personal training journey. I can always do it again in the future. I have the qualification. I just had to do what was best for me, and that's the decision I made. And as it turns out, I found a new career that I really love. So I don't work at Erpingham House anymore. I work for a hotel in Norwich, and I'm really enjoying getting to like grips with events and restaurant work and hosting, and it's going really well. And I have regular money coming into my bank every month. My bills are paid. I'm getting back on top. I'm not constantly worrying about when my next pay is going to come in, whether I'm going to be able to afford to pay my phone bill, you know, stuff like that. So that's something that I went through. I also learned that, you know, you don't necessarily fail just because you stop doing something. You can choose to stop doing something and you've still done it. You've still tried your best, and that's not failing. If you try, then you've succeeded because at least you gave it your all. At least you did something and you didn't just sit there and wish you'd done it. So 2019, I'm going to wrap this up because I've been chatting a while. 2019, biggest goal for 2019 for me is to go alcohol free. I have really suffered with alcohol dependency, binge drinking in the past. This year I feel like I've been teetering on the edge of previous problems, and I think it's now time. I'm in a good place. I want to give it up. I don't want to be that person anymore. I'm going to do a separate video on my alcohol history. So I'll like keep an eye out for that. That's going to be a mosh. So that's my biggest and hardest challenge, I think, this year. I want to train my arse off. I want to try and do the CrossFit Open this year, as much RX as I can. I'm still not quite there. I want to be strong. I want to really do weightlifting. I want to visit some countries that I've not been before. I want to go to a festival, and most of all, I want to be happy, and I don't want to give a fuck about what anyone else thinks of me. I am doing me this year, and I know that sounds like such a cliche, but literally, I'm over it. I spent so much time being sad last year. This year, I'm telling people how it is. I'm not hiding away from my opinions. I'm not gonna feel bad about having a different opinion to somebody else. I am just gonna be 100% authentic me. And that's kind of it, really. There's no like massive transformation gonna happen. I'm just gonna keep being myself. One thing that I really love is when you guys send me messages telling me that they really, like, you really appreciate how real I am. There's no way I could sit down in front of this camera and pretend to be somebody I'm not, and the amount of times I film with no makeup on or looking absolutely horrendous and mostly just sitting on my ass watching Netflix. But you guys seem to enjoy my realness, so that's going to continue, and I'm not going to be turning into anybody else. Also, not doing any dating apps this year. God, they are toxic and draining. So yeah, done with them. New motto is what will be, will be. So yeah, if I meet someone, great, but I'm done faking conversations and meeting weirdos on dating apps, to be honest. So no more dating apps for 2019, no more alcohol for 2019, and more real talk and more real life happiness. So that's the end of my video. I think I'm gonna go now. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review of my year, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Take care, bye.